of the robe that was upon him and gave it to David, and his garments, even to his sword, and to his bow, and to his girdle. And David went out whithersoever Saul sent him, and behaved himself wisely. And Saul set over him the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants. And it came to pass as they came, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistines, that the women came out of all cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul with tabrets, with joy, and with instruments of music. And the women answered one another as they played and said, Saul hath slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. And Saul was very wroth, and the saying displeased him, and he said, they have ascribed unto David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed but thousands. And what can he have more but the kingdom? And Saul eyed David from that day forward. And it came to pass on the morrow that the evil spirit sent from God came upon Saul, and he prophesied in the midst of the house. And David played with his hands as other times, and there was a javelin in Saul's hand. And Saul cast the javelin, for he said, I will smite David even to the wall with it. And David avoided out of his presence twice. And Saul was afraid of David, because the Lord was with him, and was departed from Saul. Therefore Saul removed him from him, and made him his captain over 1,000, and he went out and came before the people. And David behaved himself wisely in all his ways, and the Lord was with him. And God gave me the topic. He said, beware of situational emotions. Beware of situational emotions. And I begin to look at this, and you got to understand that just in the chapter prior, David has just slain Goliath. Understand that David didn't show up to do this, but nevertheless there was an opportunity, and David just did what David always did. Here Saul hires David on the spot and says, because of what you did, I need you in my army. Long story short, as time progresses, David is now becoming popular. He's becoming what he's never been. He's being known. He's more than the sheep boy that's been in the fold all his life. And what I liked about this is when I read it, it said, and the women answered one another as they played and said, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. And I looked at this from a different perspective, and the word "and" changed the game for me, because I believe I've heard it preached somewhere, and I believe I've actually said it, where it actually said Saul slain David. Let me get it correct. And Saul has slain his thousands, but David his 10,000s. What changes about that is it was customary that the women did what they were doing there, dancing and proclaiming the victory for Israel. And even in the beginning, it says that they came to sing praises to Saul. But nevertheless, Saul heard it totally different than how it was presented. There's no competition in what those women are saying. They're doing nothing more than stating the facts. But here we have Saul being offended by the facts. I want to help somebody right there. We live in a time where truth, I just don't know. Where truth is so opinionated. It's no solid foundation, because people reject it. They hear what they want to hear. And even when you're there to help them, depending on how they're feeling, is how they're going to receive it. Now, it says that they came to sing the praises to Saul. And because his perspective was so messed up, this could have been an opportunity for his spirit to be promoted. No doubt the Lord had already left him, but see God giving him grace, leaving him as king, giving him grace in the position to grow as an individual. Because ultimately, it ain't the title that God is after. I don't care what you do, whether you mother, father, you preacher, bishop, I don't care what it is. God is not after your title. He's not trying to make the title look good, but he's ultimately trying to save the vessel behind the title. So here you have a king who can't live up to what it means to be a king. And this situation simply proves it. I said, well, God, how did Saul get here? He said Saul didn't repent for his stubborn and rebellious behavior when he was king. He said he requested another chance, but he didn't repent. Saul requested another chance. Give me another chance to get it right, but I don't want to change. I want to help somebody right there. Understand that even when you do apologize, people can forgive you. But if you continually do the same act, your apology loses its worth. Because what that symbolizes to me is, yeah, I know it's wrong, but I don't want to change. Many lives are being destroyed, not because the devil is doing anything, but because we don't want to change. God gave me a word. He said, understand that the devil is an influencer. I said, God, what is an influencer? That definition is the act or power of producing an act without an apparent exertion of force or direct exercise of command. What does that mean? Influence don't make you do it. At the end of the day, influence does not make the choice. When you are under the influence of a substance, the police don't care what the substance is. They still hold you accountable for breaking the law. So the drug don't get the charge. You get the charge. When the devil is an influencer, understand that you're going to be the one to face the consequences of your actions. And the devil cannot influence you beyond your own personal desire. Can I say that one more time? The devil cannot influence you beyond your own personal desire. That's why truth is important. Because truth don't have a respecter of persons. You have to buy into the truth just because you believe that it's good for you. Nobody can force you to take the truth. But you got to choose to take it just for the sake that when the influence does come, and it will, you have something to war with. If you war with your opinion and you war with your feelings, you can expect to lose. Here is Saul right here. Saul right here. Saul right here. He's offended by the very one who got his army to the place that it is. This is the reason. David, understand that Saul is scared of Goliath. The Israelites, they just steady battling, but they can't gain victory. God sends this vessel to do what the king could not do. So rather than say, you know what, let me get the glory for being the man that hired him, because I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling, I can't even rejoice in the victory. And you know what else that showed? It showed how much he cared about the people. He didn't care about the Israelites as he should have. He was more concerned with his own personal desire. That's why at this point, God has already anointed David. You're going to be the one because you're after my heart. And what is God's heart, people? Beware of situational emotions. Situational emotions will cause you to react in a way that you would not react in any other situation. Many homes are destroyed because of situational emotions. Many marriages are destroyed because of situational emotions. Jobs are lost because of situational emotions. Why do you have to look at the situation? Because sometimes the situation ain't a normal circumstance. And if you don't take the time to look at the situation for what it is, you'll ascribe that situation to the rest of your life. God says the reason I'm telling you this, Bobby, is because your future is at stake. All it takes is one situational emotion to have me respond incorrectly, and I will never be looked at the same. I can say I'm sorry. I can say forgive me, but understand that from this day forward, Robert Lee Mason Jr.'s name is tainted forever. See, I need you to understand that when I'm living for God, I'm living because that's where I am. I don't want my name to be tainted by something that I had the control over. See, I can't say, well, because see, when I bring his name up, he's nothing more than an influencer. He is an accessory to the crime. Understand, the one that's an accessory to the crime don't get the same time as the person who did it. That just means they knew something. They might have conspired to it, but they didn't do it. To me, my life means more than that. It means more than that. Now, here you have here you have Saul. He has the prescription to his deliverance in his house. And it says that that demon prophesied. I had to really look that up. And everywhere I looked, it said it means to rave, which means to act out, speak without intelligence. It was just cutting up, as we say. And David did what he always did. That wasn't the first time that spirit showed up. But usually David could play and would soothe that thing. But because Saul was wroth, which means intensely angry, that emotion overpowered his deliverance. Can I say that one more time? His emotion overpowered his deliverance. God has sent some of us help right in the house. But because of our emotions, we can't accept that thing. And so we come to pray and we pray to God for a new thing. And God said, this thing been working the whole time, but you're looking at it wrong. God said, what you heard ain't always what you hear. Can I say that one more time? What you heard ain't always what you hear. Somebody can say something to you, and depending on your spirit, it dictates how you hear that thing. Somebody can walk up to you, and you need a I love you, and they walk up to you and say, baby, I love you. But because your spirit ain't, they don't really love me. They just saying that. And you refuse to believe it. And then you get upset when they don't say it again. I need you to understand that God has charged us to love people. God has charged us to intercede for people, to advocate for people. But he never charged us to drag them. God would never require the people of his kingdom to drag somebody that don't want to go. He'll turn them over to themselves first. As Saul. Saul had everything he needed in his house to be a successful king. He had David, the next king, anointed, skilled warrior. Even his son loved him. Now see the prince of the son of the king, the prince, embracing the man of God, saying, I know this, so I can relate to you. There's something in you. And the daddy's so messed up, he doesn't even look at the relationship between the two sons. Have you ever thought maybe Jonathan needed somebody with a daddy like that? Maybe Jonathan needed somebody. And so God thought enough of Jonathan to give him a David. Beware of the relationships you come between. Just because you don't understand it and it don't necessarily make sense to you, don't mean it's wrong. Your spirit just might be off. It said that they were connected as one soul. And it says it several times. They were connected as one. And Jonathan loved David as himself. So much so that he would intercede for him when his daddy was trying to kill him. He said, let's make a covenant. David, I'm not going to let you get killed. And I need you to trust me. Sometimes trusting God is trusting people. I want to help somebody. Sometimes trusting God is trusting people. God will put people in your life that are consistent. God will put people in your life that constantly show you that they're worthy to be trusted. But if your spirit is off, you forsake it. And so God wants to use that individual to turn your situation around. Understand that Jonathan saves David's life. If there is no Jonathan, who knows what happens to David? But that was God's way of preserving David for the throne. Who has God put in your life to preserve you for your destiny? And don't tell me ain't nobody in there. No, they in there. If you can't see them, it's because your spirit off. Because you're looking at something that you shouldn't be looking at. You're hearing something that you're not hearing. You have not went before God to say, why is this person in my life? Why? Because we choose based on how we feel. I want people that's going to make me feel like I feel. That's what I want. Me and Robert, we joke all the time. We talked about how much we grew up in church and stuff like that. And it's amazing how even our jokes are wrapped around godly things. Because that's what's embedded in us. Again, Naturally, I would never choose him because I would look at his stature, I would look at his positions, and I would look at what he's able to do. This guy could never be my friend. But God says not so. I didn't ask for him, I didn't choose him, but I thank God he's in my life. See, I can't use my own intellect to judge our relationship. Because God is trying to pull me some way that I'm scared to go by myself. So he'll send me somebody that's already been, who got enough courage to say, come on, man, let's go. And because I trust the relationship, I can trust the instruction. Because I trust the relationship, I can trust the instruction. Some people ain't listening to you because they don't trust your relationship. I don't know your motive for being with me. Seems like every time I get around you, it costs me something. It costs me something. Ain't nobody want to be around nobody that every time I show up, it's going to cost me something. I can't show up and be me. I can't laugh. I can't smile. I have to be careful what you say. I got to be careful what I say. We just can't be real. But sometimes your realness ain't delivered. And so it might be a good thing that you ain't real. Everybody that's real ain't delivered. Everybody that's real ain't delivered. So when that thing come out, it don't come out right. And what do? You say, I'm sorry. And I'm tired of you telling me you sorry. And so the response you get from me ain't necessarily what you think. And so then you have the audacity to cock an attitude. That same spirit that was in Saul. He was rebellious. Even during his time with God, God told him to do something, and that's why he ended up losing the throne, because he does what he wants to do. You can't walk with people and do what you want to do. You have to compromise. You have to hear them and actively listen, not passively listen. Not just allow them to talk when you're disregarding everything they're saying in the moment only because you already got your mind made up. Don't ask me something if you really don't want to know what I got to say. I respect you more for saving me time than to have me express everything that I just said only for you to say, well, I'm going to do this anyway. I'm trying to help people because understand, without relationships, God can't work. Without see, we want him to work on us individually in our silos, and God just work on me and do for, because in the midst of working on you, he's trying to deliver you. In the midst, and Saul don't even see it. God is still trying to deliver his soul, because the same issue that got you demoted is the same thing that keeps you from being promoted. The same issue. It ain't nothing new. It's the same thing. But because you can't submit to the healing, you'd rather die. You give yourself over to a demon that you know is tormenting you. You know. David didn't ask him, can I play for you? Understand, the Bible said David behaved himself wisely. David understood, man, my future is in my hand. I know this man trying to kill me, but I'm going to play anyway. David ain't leave the house. He ain't do nothing. He went every way that Saul told him to go. Even though Saul was trying to set him up. But because the Lord was with David, death was not an option. Can I help you, somebody? Understand that when God is with you, you don't have to worry about dying in a situation where somebody doing you wrong. You don't have to be afraid of that, because God will avenge you for his name's sake. So trust them even in the midst when they ain't doing, and you know they ain't doing right. But trust them anyway. Trust them anyway. And the thing you're trusting is that, God, you're working on them. We're saying, God, turn it around. Maybe God wants to use you to turn it around for somebody else. But you got to turn it around in yourself, because we naturally selfish. I'm speaking to me. This was birthed out of a week of just wrong trust. See, like every single day something was going wrong for me. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, what in the world? And I felt myself getting in my emotions, trying to go to bed. I'm laying down there, and for the first time I felt rage. That's not who I am. I know that ain't who I am. That ain't in me. But I felt to the point where I was clenching my fist and holding it against my body because I was just that angry. And that's when God said, beware of situational emotions. Because if I'm not careful, it'll spill out in my house. All it takes is for my wife to say something innocent, mean nothing by it, but I respond out of rage. Now, I don't even hit her. No, I ain't even talking about like just responding out of my mouth with words that was not even conducive to what she was trying to say. And all I got when I'm done with that is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry is overrated, but change is valuable. Change is the thing that shows me you love me. Change is the thing that shows you respect me. It's change. It's not I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It may serve its purpose from the accidental standpoint. But the habitual offender, understand you can't continually say, I'm sorry. Every time they see you, them years go up. They go up only because you refuse to change. The system is, quote unquote, built to ultimately rehabilitate you, make you better than what you were. Goal is you get locked up, you don't want to come back, and y'all walking with me. But those that don't want to embody truth, because when you get out, somebody telling, even the CEO, if somebody telling you don't come back here, that what you did don't make no sense. You ain't got to do that. It's programs out there. It's stuff. The same thing transfers spiritually. We can't be offended at our brothers and sisters that are in the body of Christ who calls to our attention something that's not godly. Now understand, this is no pass to come at nobody incorrectly. That ain't what I'm saying. But if I love you enough to say, you probably don't want to do that. And the reason you don't want to do that is because people are going to look at you differently. You shouldn't be offended that somebody is trying to warn you that you're so valuable to the kingdom that how you look to someone else can ultimately derail everything that's set up for your destiny. And I think that's where the body of Christ as a whole misses it, because we don't want to live for people. I struggled with it for a long time, but God told me, he said, you won't be successful for me until you can live for people. What people think about you matters. Your name, I don't want people to say Bobby and they think liar. I don't want people to say Bobby and they think undependable, unreliable. He just talking. He's sick. Nah, and the beautiful thing is God gave me the power to create my image within his image. He gave me the tools within myself to walk in such a way that when someone does say my name, in other words, behave myself wisely so that I can find favor. Understand that David finds favor among all the Israelites, the armies, the men of war. Why? Because he behaved himself wisely. He was acting like nobody else was acting. And this is a young boy. He's talking like nobody else is talking. And what is going on? God is setting him up to receive favor when he's granted kingship. Let me help somebody right here. God will put you in situations that's uncomfortable for you, only to use it to promote you. He will purposely do that. Why? Because he's showing the people that are assigned to you that you're the real deal. He's showing the people that are assigned to you that you are the real deal. Yeah, what you are going through is very uncomfortable, but the people that are watching are admiring how you're responding to a situation that they fail in. That's how the kingdom grows. That's the whole book of the Bible. That's what God is all about. God is about a supernatural strength that allows you to behave yourself wisely in situations where other people fold. That's the whole purpose. That's why you need God's Spirit. That's why you need his character, because naturally you're not going to do it, which is where everybody tends to walk. We walk naturally. We go by our senses. We go by how we feel, but the Spirit of God supersedes how we feel and says, here is a truth. When this situation occurs, This is how you respond. Stop trying to figure out what we already got the answers to. Stop trying to figure out what we are. Somebody angry, somebody upset with you. What does it say? Yeah, you listen. You love. You give them grace. That's what the Bible says, but naturally what you want to do, you want to respond, you want to fight too. But God says, yeah, there's a prescribed result that you're going to get when you respond that way. It's going to be bad for them. It's going to be bad for you. But when you set that thing up according to how God chooses to do it, then you make way for God to move in and work on their heart. Pastor tells us all the time, submit. Her favorite word, stand down. Stand down. What does it mean? You recognize the escalation of the situation, but because you don't want it to get worse, you'll give up your right for somebody else's wrong. But you got to understand that that's only a situational emotion. The situation ain't over. The situation ain't over. Saul struggled with David. But the sad part is that was his help. That was his healing. That was the epitome of his legacy. Because he had done something that no one else could do. David helped Saul fulfill his divine assignment. That was the whole purpose of Saul becoming king. Was ultimately to defeat the Philistines. And the one that God gave him to help him do that is the one he valued the least. Who has God given you and you've assigned a very low value to? But there's other people that you hold to high esteem, and they don't do half of what the person that God has given you. It happens in our homes every day. I ain't even trying to be deep, y'all. It happens in our homes every day. Yeah, my wife loves me. She submits to me and all of that good stuff. But I understand that I need to submit to her as well, because there's needs that she has. And if those needs aren't fulfilled, I can't expect her to operate in a fashion that's going to make me happy. That's just natural. That's natural understanding. But it's up to me. I can't say, well, I'm a man, so she's supposed to. Not going to ascribe that to her. Why? Because I'm living for God. And then I'm living for y'all. Because I don't want to come in here and you don't see me with her, and then everybody looking at me wondering why. Now, the past 6 years, they've been coming to church together. But all of a sudden, they ain't. What's going on? That happens. And what does that do? The people that believed in our marriage is going to not question, well, is it worth it? That's how we act in our natural tendency. That's why living for people is so important. It's an investment in the husband I'm trying to be to her. And I said the word trying, because I ain't perfect. But I promise you she would never see me how I was when she met me 5-6 years ago. That's my choice. That's my choice. So my thing is, I need you to understand that the situations that you're in, and look at the ones in the house. I ain't even talking about the ones that's outside, because we know how to act. We could turn it on. And it's funny. It's certain people we will act right no matter what they do. They can offend us any kind of way, but we'll stand down. And then the next person that show up, we blow up on, because that's a residue of the emotion that you had in the situation prior. And then what you want to do? You want to say, I'm sorry. But we got to learn self-control, y'all. And that's the whole thing behind a situational emotion. You have to be able to control yourself when the situation arises. You don't know when it's coming. But you got to be ready when it does. And how do you be ready? You guard yourself with truth. You take what you already got, what you already know, and you use it accordingly. You use it accordingly. Saul wasn't able to do that because of how he felt. Because of his rejection, God had already taken the throne away from him, told him, yeah, I already got a king that's after my own heart. And God loved Saul. It wasn't nothing personal. He even tells Samuel, how long are you going to mourn over this guy? I've already moved on. I'm not going to pick him back up. Nothing's going to change. And if you're not careful, you're going to mess around and lose your assignment too. Don't lose your assignment mourning some way too long. Don't lose your destiny mourning over something that you already know ain't good for you. The relationship ain't working. It ain't working. It ain't working. You don't need to be there no more. You don't need to be doing that no more. You know these things. You're crying every night. Your heart is broken. You're fussing about. You already know. And can I go a little deeper? If it's a situation you scared to talk to somebody about, that says a lot. 9 times out of 10, the situations we don't want to talk to people about is because we know it ain't good and we already made our mind up. I'm telling you what I've done. There's certain situations in my life where I just knew if I talked to somebody, they were going to tell me, don't do that. Don't be with them. Stop. I knew the answer. But because in my spirit, I did not want to hear it because I knew it was the truth. And don't let somebody walk up on me that mess around and know me well and can tell. And then mess around and tell me the truth anyway. Yeah, I'm offended because I didn't ask you for an answer. But see, God loving me. Because now I'm trying to preserve you for your destiny, so I'm going to send somebody against your will to warn you. Because if you don't adhere to the warning, I got to allow the consequence to do. I ain't going to send it. I sent the warning. But I will allow the consequence to do what it does. It can help somebody. The consequence is only designed to get you back in line. That's the only reason he'll allow it, so it can get you back in line. But if you have no desire to be back in line, then he has to turn you over completely to the consequence. He showed me. He said, boy, when I'm correcting you, that thing hurts. In the words of Pastor Martina, I love it. The pain is real. Pain is real. But sometimes pain is a motivator. There's nothing worse than a person that's not motivated by pain. Because you know that their life is going to lead to destruction. Because that's the whole purpose of emotions. It's a gauge. It's like the gauges on your car. You can act, I don't care how high gas get. You can act like you don't see that needle moving. Act like you don't see it moving, and you can pray the windshield out. But I guarantee you, you're going to have to call somebody to come bring you some gas. Now, God bless somebody enough to think about that thing, to put gauges on car, to judge our gas consumption. And you can. And I'm going to help somebody real here. If yours ain't working, it's an investment. You might want to take it somewhere and get that fixed. Nothing else might not work. I've driven a car where the gas needle didn't work properly. But you had better believe I couldn't wait to get rid of it. Because that's a struggle for me. And you're going to spend more money being ignorant. Now you steady putting gas in a car that might not even need it. All because you refuse to look at the gauge. How many years of your life are you spending on a situation that you necessarily wouldn't have to if you adhere to the warning signs? But instead you pray, you see the warning and you start praying. That ain't gonna work for you. That ain't gonna work for you. Why? Because you know you're wrong. God can't help you right there. That's just straight up rebellion. I've warned you, but you're refusing to change. God's love is designed to get us to a place that we don't even know exists yet. And I believe that happiness is real. I don't always feel like that, but I believe that it is. But you know where it comes from? It comes from the confidence of knowing that you're in God's will. Because even in Samuel 18, it constantly said that the Lord was with David. David understood that his victories only came because the Lord was with him. That is the reason that he behaved himself wisely, because he did not want the presence of the Lord to leave him. Why do you behave? However you behave. Do you behave because you want people to think you're a certain thing? Do you behave because you're trying to make yourself feel good? Or are you really trying to preserve the presence of the Lord? Your joy, your confidence, your peace is going to come from knowing that no matter what situation I'm in, God is with me. But if we don't live according to how God tells us to live, God will leave us. God will leave us. And I love it because Saul and David is a direct comparison. When God is with you, this is what you look like. David. When God is not with you, this is what you look like. Saul. And God was with Saul, but because of his disobedience, he left and then put him in the presence of the one that's designed to take his place. I'm going to help somebody right here, and I'm going to sit down. How many of us could behave ourselves wisely in that situation? God put you directly with the person that's designed to take your seat. It takes a true spirit of God and a true spirit of humility to trust God in that situation to say, well, God, you didn't choose me, but I thank you for the one that he chose. See, that's kingdom right there. That's where God is trying to take. And that's what I need you to understand. If we're going to make it as a kingdom people, that's the heart that we got to have. Because God's kingdom is forever. It ain't going to be you forever. But if you can't help groom the gift of somebody else that God has chosen, are you truly fit for the kingdom? Because the kingdom is about the next level. It's about the next person. And if you truly love the kingdom, you want the kingdom to advance at any cost. Even if you got to be the sacrifice. David does not win battles without going to war with his men. David does not win battles without going to war with his men. David knew the situation. David was on the terrain. David had, that's what made David so, that's why he found favor with the people he was assigned to serve. Because he was there. Some people want favor and they ain't even there. But you see my name and you want the glory associated with the title. And God said something. He said Saul had the position, but David had the power. Saul was still king, but David was running things. Why? Because of the favor of God. So stop getting caught up over what you don't have. And if you truly got the spirit of the living God in your corner, you all right. If you truly got it, because you're going to find favor in situations where other people fail. Favor says you're not qualified. Favor says you should not have it. But because I am with you, you get it. But that only comes through relationship. And so that's what the devil is after. He's simply after your relationship with God because he knows once you step out of the wheel and you keep saying I'm sorry. Just keep saying I'm sorry. Don't change. Just keep saying I'm sorry. Do it again. Say I'm sorry. But whatever you do, don't change. And the devil is still happy. Like he going to stop bothering you because he already know your MO. Yeah, she ain't going to do that. She's going to say I'm sorry and do it again. Relationship falling apart. Yeah, she going to say I'm sorry and doing it again. Children angry with you. She going to say I'm sorry and do it again. Husband hates you. I'm sorry. I keep doing it again. And the sad part is what people asking for ain't even much. They just asking you to be a decent human being. Like, it ain't even nothing deep. Like, stop hollering at me. We get offended at stuff like that. I holler at whoever I want to holler at. It ain't nothing you can do. And then when I shut down, I'm sorry. Now you're talking soft. And that was the one thing I asked you to do from the beginning. I asked you to do it. I didn't tell you. I asked you. But you rather say, I'm sorry, apologize. And our marriage steady falling apart. Our house steady separating. And the devil having a ball because, yeah, now they isolated. I can talk to this one. I can talk to this one. Now everybody in the house acting crazy. And then you want to come and pray about it when you the source of the discord. God is helping me. I'm trying to tell you. God said, beware. He said, fool, don't let that rage fool you. Don't let that rage fool you. You turn over and say something you ain't got no business. You got trouble in your house. And I'd be a fool not to listen. Because I know he ain't lying. God can't lie. I mean, I'm laying there, and I'm just as woke as I'll get out. I ain't even necessarily mad with nobody. It's just everything just weighed in that week on that day. And then I said, God got up and said that to me. And I got all right. Because it gave me hope. Boy, this is just a situation right here. Your destiny is greater than this moment you feeling right here. Don't let everything you already done be dismissed because of this one moment. It only takes one moment to dismiss every truth you ever told. And you got to be mindful of that. Like nobody's going to walk up to you and remind you of this every moment of the day. Now, you got to know that. I can't afford to say that because I can't come back from it. I can't let this work. Matter of fact, let me deal with the thought. Because that thought will provoke you long enough. It'll talk to you.